Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take out the 2024 Plus wired cruiser out on a nice scenic ride along Highway State Route 88 in Arizona called the Apache Trail. So we're going to be going over my list of 5 top things that I like about the bike and 5 things that I don't. Then we'll have one bonus for you at the end of the video. So we're going to get started, and thanks for coming along on the ride. The Apache Trail goes for about a total of 47 miles in total. It connects 3 of the 4 major lakes here in central Arizona. The first one we'll see here in a minute is Canyon Lake. The other 2 that we will not see further east from here is Apache Lake and one of our main reservoirs in Arizona, Roosevelt Lake. So here is a scenic overview of Canyon Lake. Got the high canyon walls, so the lake goes quite a bit further out there to the left. It kind of stops over there further to the right, but it goes quite a ways back there. And it's surrounded by high canyon walls. It's beautiful. The part of Apache Trail that we're on right now is paved. Most of it is not. Once you get up past the lake here, which we'll pass, and then past an Old West stagecoach town called Tortilla Flats, there's about 5 additional miles that you can travel back, and then the road turns to dirt road. The smoke is. I'm not supposed to stop on this bridge. Okay, got some paddle boarders, canoe floats back there. People out here fishing. So it's the end of October and the weather is starting to cool down, which means that we're about to get a migration. They're called snowbirds. They come into Arizona every winter to escape the cold north from all over Canada, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Dakotas, all over. So I plan on doing part of this ride in filming in 360-degree mode to give you some different views, and then part of it in POV mode with the camera chest mounted. So let's go ahead and get into my top 5 things that I like about this 2024 Plus wired cruiser. Number 1 has got to be the 1500 watt powerful motor, 1500 nominal watts. It peaks at over 3200 watts. This motor can produce up to 153 Newton meters of torque, and you can really feel it. If you unlock this bike, you take it out of class 2 mode, and you put in the highest start strength, which is 0, and you hit that throttle when you're standing still, it is quite a ride. This motor is plenty powerful enough to pull you up most of the major hills. 20% grade is nothing to this bike. We're going to go ahead and go across the second of the 2 bridges. This is where they store a lot of the boats that stay out here all year round. Somebody fishing out there. The second thing I like about this bike is the 45 amp potted controller. It peaks at 48 amps. And that controller too, it's potted, so what that means is it's gel filled. It helps dissipate a lot of the heat, which we really need here in Arizona, especially you're riding in the summertime. Even today, it's still around 86 degrees, I'd say right now, 88. I think our high is going to be 93 today, which isn't bad. We're starting to cool down and head into the fall season finally. So as I mentioned before, that's what triggers the snowbird migration. So I'm in these switchbacks. It's one of my favorite parts of this road. I think this will be more fun coming downhill when we can get some speed up. We're gonna test out these HEB Allscape tires. They handle really well. Should be fun. So we're getting ready to go down a pretty steep downhill. We're going to head into Tortilla Flats, which they turn into an Old West tourist town. You get they have a couple of restaurants and bars, ice cream parlor, an old schoolhouse. This was actually a stagecoach stop back when early days of Apache Trail. It's kind of a last chance to get provisions before you head up into the mountains and head towards the east over to Apache Lake and then over to Roosevelt Lake. Here we go. We're coming up into Tortilla Flats now. This place is really busy on the weekends. See a lot of people probably waiting to get in those restaurants. No parking spaces. The place is packed. There's a little schoolhouse over there to the right. Probably stop on the way back. I'll probably get some lunch there. We've got 73% left on the battery. So that means I've got enough battery to take you on one of the lesser traveled roads. Most people stop right there at Tortilla Flats and get their pictures and photos of that little Old West stagecoach stop. A lot of times that little creek that we crossed right there is flooded in the rainy season and the monsoons, and people can't cross to get over here. But we shouldn't see near as much vehicle traffic back here. Starting to get into the steep canyon walls. So the third thing I like about this 2024 Plus Wire Cruiser is the dual suspension. In the front, they got the RST guide forks with a really nice, robust through axle for the front. I like that. It's easy to get on and get off if you get a flat tire. But there's micro adjustments on the front fork. It's got a lockout and then micro adjustments. I think about 9 or so adjustment levels depending on your weight. And 75 millimeters of total travel. So it really helps absorb a lot of the minor bumps and cracks. You can probably feel the camera shaking, and as we hit some of these cracks in the road, some of these little imperfections. But what really takes them out is the rear suspension. It's a D&M air shock. Really nice. They put it under the seat post in the down tube, and it's got 3 levels of adjustment. And you can also add air to the shock depending on your weight. So in the manual they give you PSI ratings for your weight. So I set the PSI to 200 because I weigh 260 pounds. I'm 6'5", just to give you a background. Starting to go up a pretty steep hill now. This is going to be a bit of a drain on the battery and probably our motor temperature. We're setting at only 204 right now on the motor temperature. But anyway, the rear shock, it's really nice. You got 3 levels of adjustment. I usually keep mine on the softest setting. You got soft, medium, and hard. Anyway, provides a really plush ride. You couple that with the Cloud 9 seat that I changed the stock wired seat out with. It's really cushiony seat. So I get quite a nice ride between the front RST guide fork and the D&M rear air shock. Okay, so when I thought it was 200, the temperature was actually 280. It's climbing up to 350, and it just turned red on me. So I'm going to pull off to the side here and let this motor cool down. Previously, I did a temperature torture test where I got up to 294. At that time, I thought the highest tolerance for the motor was just over 300, maybe 315 or so. But then one of the guys left a comment for me saying, no, it's 355. So I guess what I just did there was a real temperature torture test. I got it up to the very limit. So I pulled over and turned off the bike for about 15-20 minutes to let it cool down. It got up to 355 degrees, started flashing red, so I shut it off. It didn't shut down itself, which is good. It's now down to 170 degrees. I'm still on a steep incline, but I'm going to go ahead and get going again and see how far I can get. This hill's quite long, so see how far I can get until this thing starts to overheat again. Right now I'm at 68% on the battery. Motor is already climbing to 215, and I just started from 170. But getting back to the countdown, number 4 on my top 5 things that I like about the 2024 Plus Wired Cruiser is the dual batteries. So you've got a 20 amp hour 60 volt battery in the front frame, integrated into the frame. And you've also got a 15 amp hour battery, 60 volt, that's integrated into the rear rack. So total of 35 amp hours. The 20 amp hour battery in the front will give you 1200 watt hours, and the rear battery will give you 900. So you get a total of 2100 watt hours to use. And I'm sure I'm going to use them all up on this ride. So you can charge the batteries 2 ways. You can charge them on the bike or off the bike. You can take them out, take them in the house, or put them in your garage and charge them. We got some nice switchbacks and Some scenic overviews coming up here I think you might enjoy. This bed here is kind of steep. It's a nice view cresting this hill. So these long, skinny, tall plants here with the pods on the ends of the stems, they only grow at certain times of the year here for just a few weeks, and they bloom and get these big, beautiful flowers on them, and then they go dormant the rest of the year. You can see all the saguaro cactus out here. Oh, our motor's creeping back up there again. 343. I got a little bit of a downhill. I'll give it some time to cool off as we go downhill. See a pretty gnarly little hairpin. Yeah, it's coming down 310 now. So not sure if you know much about the history of the saguaro cactus. They only grow here in the Sonoran Desert in the southwest part of the country in northern Mexico. And it takes them between 75 years and 100 years for them to grow their first arm. So the fifth thing I like about the 2024 Plus Wire Cruiser is the 4-piston Gemma hydraulic disc brakes. Great stopping power. They've also got the 203 millimeter rotors on the front and the back, and it gives you such a feeling of confidence when you go to grab these front and rear brakes that it's going to stop you when you need it to stop you. So Wire put a lot of thought into how they were going to build this bike. I'm not sure how they did it for $2,000 with dual batteries, dual suspension, 1,500 watt motor that peaks at over 3,200 watts, a 60 volt system for $2,000. I just don't know of a better buy right now on the market for a 60 volt e-bike with these kinds of specs. 153 newton meters of torque. There's just really not much out there that can compete. There's some bikes that can get close, but these 60 volt bikes are just phenomenal. I will tell you that to get one of these bikes, they'll spoil you because most bikes that come out, you know, the typical e-bike is 48 volt system, 750 watt motor. It might peak at 1,000 watts, and it's got between a 15 and 20 amp hour battery on it. So you get something like this, it's hard to go back. Here's the end of the road. So as you can see, no pavement for the next 22 miles. All right, so we reached the top of the hill. We're at 2,843 feet of elevation. We're currently setting at 199 degrees on the motor, which isn't bad, and we're at 55% on the battery, which is a little concerning. But hopefully we'll make that, and I don't have to pedal this 105-pound bike. So we'll go ahead and get started on down the hill. I'm thinking on this downhill, we should probably be able to get up to some pretty good speeds, especially that one part where I had to cut out, stop and let the motor cool down. That was a pretty long steep climb. Give it full throttle, get up this hill, then we should be able to coast for a while. Got another tight turn. You can see I got my GPS up right now. We're about a mile to a mile and a half an hour slower on the bike display than we are on the GPS, just to give you an idea. So this is that long stretch of road that caused the motor to overheat first of all. So let's try getting some pedal up, see what we can get this thing up to speed-wise. There we go, 40. 42, 43, 44, come on. Hold it at 43. 29, 30 up this hill. That's the power of this motor. There's the truck behind me. I'm not even holding them up. Get the switchbacks. Another tight turn. I think you could probably hear that motor screaming. Oh, you can see Tortilla Flats off in the distance, heading back there. I think I'm going to grab some lunch. You know, I was a little concerned to bring this bike on this road. Make sure I wouldn't hold anybody up because there wasn't any bike paths, but then I thought, you know, for most e-bikes I probably wouldn't have done that. But for this one, it keeps up so well with the traffic that it's absolutely no problem at all. I'm not holding up anybody. In fact, at the time they're holding me up. Okay, we finished with lunch. Tortilla Flats. We're going to head back now. We got a pretty steep hill to climb, but the motor's been at rest for about an hour. It's only setting at 140 degrees right now, so I'm going to need full throttle to get up this hill. So even as steep as this hill is, we're still pulling 25 miles an hour. 2,832 watts, 40% left on the battery. Beautiful. So now we get to go back down through my favorite switchbacks. Hold at 33. $34, $36, $37, $38, Nice. So much fun. Getting ready to cross over the first of the two bridges that go over Canyon Lake. So the number one thing that I don't like about the 2024 Plus Wire Cruiser is the throttle. There's a delay in the throttle, and I'm not sure whether it's there for a safety factor or not, but sometimes it can be kind of annoying, particularly in the mid-range, mid-speed. You go to turn it, I'll show you over here on the right. I'm turning it, then it catches. And if I just give it a little bit of throttle, it kind of jerks a little bit. No problem on the full throttle, it's just that mid-range. It's got a little bit too much play for my liking. But what I've learned to do in time is you could do some throttle control, so you can feel when it's about to kick in, and then you can just twist the throttle slowly until you know that, or you feel that motor kick in like that, and just leave your throttle right there. And then once you need it, it's just a little minor turn of the wrist, and it'll engage that, takes that slip out of there. If you have to turn the rotate the throttle from the starting point, then you'll get quite a bit of delay. So we've got a few boats out there on the lake. It's kind of hitting mid-afternoon. We're coming up on the second bridge. There's no traffic coming on the other side, so we'll probably just go over it. This truck's going to follow me. It's going to go over it kind of slow. There's a boat back there to the left fishing. Should get some nice views as we round the corner here. Steep canyon walls. So the second thing that I don't like about the 2024 Plus Wire Cruiser is the fact that it's only got a single-sided chain guard for the 56-tooth chain ring. And by the way, that 56-tooth chain ring eliminates most, if not all, ghost pedaling on a bike that goes 40 miles an hour, if you can believe it. You can get pedal feel up to and maybe even beyond 40 miles an hour if you're lightweight enough for the bike to go up to that kind of speed. But the downside is to having a single-sided chain ring is if you hit a decent sized bump, the chain can jump off of the chain ring. It just seemed like it would have been better to have had a double-sided chain guard. But I will admit that some of these complaints on the things that I don't like are subjective, but it's not going to bother a lot of people, and it is also a little bit difficult to come up with enough things to come up with a list of 5 for things I don't like about the bike. So the third thing that I don't like would be the wobble that gets induced if you put more weight on the rear rack. So I noticed when I've got, say, my camera gear, and I've got, say, 10 or 12 pounds in my Rock Bros bag on the back rack, and then if I add my heavy-duty chain lock, the U-bolt CD lock, and the 10-foot long cable, you know, I get up to around 20 to 23 pounds in total, and I noticed that that additional weight makes a difference. When I just take my hand, or one hand, or both hands off just for a second, I can feel it, the bike become a little bit unstable. Now typically I don't ride, well, I never ride with both hands off the handlebars. Sometimes I'll ride with one, especially when I'm filming, you know, to kind of start, stop the camera, adjust the camera, do the things you got to do like that. But other than that, I don't really take my hands off of the handlebars. So it's not really a problem for me. The bike is plenty steady. Other than that, even if you've got a lot of weight on the back, I just keep my hands on the handlebars. So the fourth thing that I don't like about the 2024 Plus Wired Cruiser is the fact that if you change the settings, right now I've got it unlocked, but sometimes if I'm putting it into Class 2 mode for my wife, or I'm doing some kind of a demonstration video and I change it to Class 2, I notice that it resets all of my preset values on my power assist, my pedal assist mode, for the 5 levels of power assist. So the way they come to you shipped to the factory is pedal assist 1 is 20%, then it goes up from there. 40, 60, 80, and 100% pedal assist 5. So for my liking, I found that I tweaked those percentages down quite a bit. So for instance, what I'm using right now is on pedal assist 1, I use 12% of the motor power, and then 2, I use 24, and 3, I use 35%. 4, I use 50%, and 5, I only go to 75% on pedal assist 5 of the motor power, because I leave the throttle follow function off on this bike, and what that means is the throttle is open all the time. You get full power all the time. So if even if I'm in pedal assist 5 and I'm only, it can only get me up to 34, 35, 36 miles an hour, I can just hit the throttle and get more out of it from there. So that's a little bit of an annoyance. I don't really go down into pedal assist 2 very often at all. Like I said, unless I'm showing someone or demonstrating it in a video. So most of you probably won't mess with that pedal assist too much. You'll just, once you get your settings tweaked, you'll probably just leave it there and either pedal assist or in Class 2 mode where it's 20 miles an hour top speed, or like most people are going to get this bike, you'll probably fully unlock it and leave it unlocked all the time. So here comes some more fun switchbacks. You can see them in the downhill view here. Let's see what you can get up to. 35. It's kind of short. 37. 38. You got up to 38 in that little downhill run. That gives us some momentum to get up this next hill. So now we've got the motor temperature creeping up to 278. Oh my goodness, the battery power is down to 14%. Uh-oh. I may have to take it easy. Pedaling a little bit because, like I said, I do not want to pedal this bike with no motor assistance. Straight ahead there, those are the Superstition Mountains, with the famous legend, the Lost Dutchman's gold is up there in them dar hills somewhere. Nobody's been able to find it for over 170 years, but a lot of people have died trying. Pull over and let this truck go by. Don't want to hold him up. Now he needs to pull over for me. Come on, dude, it's pedal on the right. The fifth thing I don't like about the 2024 Plus Wire Cruiser, this isn't really a knock on the stock tires, but the Kinder Crusade tires that come on them, on the bike, shipped with it, they're knobby tires. They make a little bit of noise. They're a little bit thinner. I did notice that they were a little bit faster than these HEB Allscapes, but I changed the tires out when I only had about 75 miles on the bike. So, and the reason I did that is for just some extra thicker tires that will better suited for higher speeds that this bike could do, up around 40 miles an hour. I'm just kind of concerned that those kitted tires might not be able to handle those higher speeds. They're also more puncture resistant, being as they're a thicker rubber, and I like the tread pattern on these. These are for on and off road, the tread pattern. So it's a better all-purpose tire, and it gives you better handling going around corners. So I've got probably 650 miles on this bike so far, and I haven't had a flat yet. Now, I probably just jinxed myself, but I think a lot of it had to do with changing the tires out to this thicker, more robust tire, and then I also put flat out in the tires as well. So you can see where the fire's got that swirl. But you know what? It's going to spring right back to life along with these other trees. Okay, so we're officially showing we're officially showing 0% on the battery. So I'm about half a mile away from my car, and I'm hoping most of it's downhill. So I will go ahead and wrap up the video. I really appreciate you joining me on the ride today. Oh, one last thing I forgot. The one bonus like that I have overall for this bike, I just couldn't leave it off the top 5, is the fact that this is a step-through bike. You can see right here. There's no bar that goes across, so the upside of that is it's so much easier for people of my age. They may have some mobility issues. My knees are pretty shot, and can't really swing my leg over the back real comfortably without the possibility of falling. Not nearly as nimble as I used to be, and I know a lot of my audience that watches these videos are my age, 64. They're in that 56 to 64 age group, and they're primarily men. So I can relate to the things that you go through and what you're looking for in some of these bikes, and I can highly recommend the step through. It's so much easier to maneuver, get on and off. So again, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. Hope you liked it. Hope you got something out of it. And if you did, really appreciate it if you could hit that like button and consider subscribing. Until next time, take care. Sorry, let me throw one more thing in here before we wrap up. Wanted to let you know just what the elevation change was, total ride distance, top speed, things of that nature. So by the way, you can see that I ran this thing down to 0%. But it got me back to my vehicle, so I cannot complain. What a fun ride. Anyway, down here you see that we're currently at an elevation of 2,100 feet roughly. So at the top we were 2873. So yeah, almost 800 feet, a little bit less, and total elevation change. On the way back it's more fun because it's mostly downhill. So average speed was 25.3 miles an hour. Total distance, 19.44 miles. And the highest speed we got on that long downhill was 44.2 miles an hour. So all in all, a great day, and it's really fun to go 44 miles an hour on one of these bikes. It really is.